It was one of the most highly anticipated reports to come out of Washington in recent memory. A look into the origins of the Trump-Russia probe by the Justice Department's top internal auditor, Inspector General Michael Horowitz. Investigative correspondent James Rosen joins us now with more.
Sharyl, issued last week, the Horowitz report offered something for everyone in these divided times. A conclusion that there was no political bias in the original decision to investigate the Trump campaign, paired with findings of egregious lapses in the process that led to a former Trump campaign advisor being wiretapped. So what happens now? Will Americans enjoy more protection from unwarranted snooping?
We identified significant inaccuracies and omissions in each of
Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz faced criticism from the highest levels. Despite his central finding that no political bias informed the FBI's scrutiny of the Trump campaign, President Trump said the report validated his claims that the top echelons of the FBI under former Director James Comey were actively plotting against him.
Well, they fabricated evidence and they lied to the courts and they did all sorts of things to have it go their way.
John Durham, the U.S. attorney conducting a criminal investigation into the FBI's Trump-Russia probe, which carried the codename Crossfire Hurricane, said his work will produce starkly different conclusions, namely that the surveillance mounted against the Trump campaign lacked probable cause. And Durham has the full backing of the top man at Justice, Attorney General William Barr.
As far as I'm aware, this is the first time in history that this has been done to a presidential campaign, the use of these counterintelligence techniques against a presidential campaign.
The Barr-Durham investigation could potentially lead to criminal prosecutions focused on a number of possible avenues. Congressman Devin Nunes is the top Republican on the House Intelligence Committee.
The one thing we have to get to the bottom of that Horowitz was not able to get to the bottom of is the spies that were being run against the Trump campaign. Those began before Crossfire Hurricane started on July 31st.
The Horowitz report made numerous recommendations to guard against future lapses in professional conduct like those that plagued the applications for surveillance under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or FISA, against former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. FBI Director Christopher Wray said his bureau has already enacted 40 reforms.
We're determined to learn the lessons from this report and make sure the FBI emerges from this even better and stronger.
The FBI lapses included failures to identify to the FISA court judges evidence in hand that tended to clear Carter Page of suspicion, and repeated failures to tell them about the past unreliability of and Democratic Party funding for a confidential human source named Christopher Steele. He's the former British spy and FBI informant whose dossier on then-candidate Trump, filled with salacious and unverified allegations, was relied upon by the FBI to justify the wiretapping of Carter Page. Democratic Congressman Emanuel Cleaver argued that despite these lapses, secret surveillance warrants remain essential to law enforcement.
FISA is still something that I think we're better having than not having it. We just need to make sure that it becomes a little more difficult to make errors.
Horowitz recommended that FISA forms be amended to ensure information is identified that tends to disprove, does not support, or is inconsistent with a finding or an allegation that the target is a foreign power or an agent of a foreign power. The Inspector General also urged that FBI agents working sensitive cases be compelled to provide information that bears on the reliability of every confidential human source whose information is relied upon in the FISA application. Horowitz told a Senate committee the problem did not derive from opposition to then-candidate Trump.
We did not find documentary or testimonial evidence that indicated political bias or improper motivation.
But the Inspector General did express profound misgivings about the conduct of FBI personnel at various levels.
We found, and as we outline here, are deeply concerned that so many basic and fundamental errors were made by 3 separate hand-picked investigative teams on one of the most sensitive FBI investigations.
Kel McClanahan is one of the leading attorneys in Washington who handles national security litigation. Should we expect any congressional action as a result of the flaws and the violations that we saw exhibited in Horowitz's findings?
I don't think so, because Congress has never really gotten involved to the level of granularity about who has to report what to what internal agency, employee, or bureaucrat.
If it's going to be corrected, that's going to have to come from within the intelligence community itself?
As a rule, yes. Congress can definitely play a role. The president could even play a role, although this is also a level of granularity that you don't generally see from White House involvement.
So your reporting, James, indicates that the Barr-Durham criminal probe has now branched out beyond the FBI and the Trump-Russia probe. Is that right?
That's right. We have confirmed that Mr. Durham is looking into the Intelligence Community Assessment, or ICA, that was issued in early 2017, just before Donald Trump was sworn in as president, and which concluded that Russia's election interference in 2016 was explicitly designed to help the Trump campaign. Mr. Durham is looking at the staffing of that assessment and how it treated the underlying evidence.
All right. Thanks so much.